Every anime fan has that one moment where a character just locks in, and the second it happens, you already know nothing is ever going to be the same again. But here's what I think. A lot of people get it wrong. Locking in isn't just about getting stronger. If it was, half of anime would qualify. Getting a power up is easy. Actually changing as a person, that's the part most characters never pull off. Today, we are looking at 3 anime characters who didn't just unlock new abilities. They unlocked a completely different version of themselves. And trust me, each one got there in a very different way. One conquered fear, one refused to stay weak, and one broke so completely that he could never become the same person again. And honestly, if you told me this guy would end up having one of the coolest locking moments in modern shonen, I would have laughed in your face. But that's exactly why we are starting with Zenitsu. Let's be honest, if you watched Demon Slayer for the first time, there was a good chance you couldn't stand Zenitsu. This man had one twig snap and immediately started preparing his funeral. Every mission became a panic attack. Every demon had this guy screaming for his dear life, and for a while, it honestly felt like he was just comic relief with a sword. But that's also why I think people completely misunderstood him. Zenitsu was never weak. He was scared. There's a difference. Even while doubting himself, he still protected people. He still trained. He still showed up. His biggest enemy was never a demon. He was the voice in his own head, telling him he would never be good enough. Then Jigoro died, and suddenly everything changed. This wasn't just another fight anymore. Kaigaku didn't just betray the Demon Slayer corpse. He spat on the legacy of the only person who truly believed in Zenitsu. And that's what makes this battle so satisfying. Zenitsu isn't fighting because he's fearless. He's fighting because honoring his master matters more than his fear. Then comes the moment that gave every Demon Slayer fan goosebumps. Instead of relying on what he was taught, Zenitsu creates his own technique, 7th form. Think about how crazy that is. The guy who spent years believing he would never measure up ends up creating something nobody else could. That's the moment Zenitsu truly locked in. He didn't become someone else. He finally became the person Jigoro knew he could be all along. And honestly, that's one of the most satisfying character payoffs in modern shonen. But at least, Zenitsu always had talent hidden beneath the fear. The next character didn't even have that. He was officially the weakest person in his entire world until one decision changed everything. Now let's talk about Sung Jinwoo. And no, I'm not talking about the guy with an army of shadows. I'm talking about the guy who could barely survive a low-rank dungeon. Imagine being so weak that your own teammate don't trust you to fight. They trust you to stay alive. That's how bad things were. Jinwoo wasn't just losing battles. He was losing people's respect. But that's exactly why I respect him so much. Every time he walked into a dungeon, he already knew he was the weakest person there. He wasn't chasing glory. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He was trying to pay hospital bills and keep his family together. And honestly, that made him one of the most relatable protagonists I've seen in a long time. Then came the double dungeon, the moment that changed everything. And here's the thing people overlook. Jinwoo didn't lock in because he got the system. He locked in the moment he chose to stay behind, so everyone else could escape. The system came after that. His power wasn't born from leveling up. It was born from a choice. A choice to put everyone else's life ahead of his own. The reason Jinho's growth feels so satisfying is because we end it with him. Every quest was painful, every level had to be fought for, every new ability felt like a reward instead of a handout. Watching him go from the weakest hunter alive to the guy monsters prayed they never met, that's one of the most satisfying grow-ups in modern anime. For me, Jinho's lock-in wasn't when he became the Shadow Monarch. It happened the second he stopped seeing himself as a victim. Everything after that was just the world catching up. But if you think Jinho's transformation was dark, the next guy didn't just become stronger, he lost a piece of himself forever. Then there is Kaneki. And I honestly don't think anyone on this list paid a higher price to lock in. Before everything went wrong, Kaneki was just normal. He loved books, drank coffee, hung out with his best friend, and if you met him on the street, you'd never think this guy will become one of anime's most iconic monsters. Then fate decided to ruin his life in the worst way possible. Overnight, Kaneki lost his identity. He couldn't eat normal food, couldn't fit into the world either, and every single day became a battle between the human he wanted to be and the girl he was forced to become. He wasn't weak because he lacked power. He was weak because he refused to accept who he had become. Then came Jason, and this wasn't just another anime torture scene. It was the moment Kaneki's entire worldview shattered. Day after day, he was pushed past every limit imaginable until there was nothing left to hold on to. The kind, gentle boy who always chose to endure the pain finally realized something terrifying. If he kept living the same way, he would keep losing everyone he cared about. When Kaneki walked out of that room, he wasn't the same person anymore. And that's why I don't like calling this a power-up. This wasn't a glow-up, it was a funeral. The old Kaneki, the one who apologized for existing, who always put everyone else first, that version of him died in that chair. What worked out was someone who had finally accepted the monster inside him. That's what makes Kaneki's lock-in so different from Zenitsu and Jinho. Zenitsu found courage, Jinho found confidence, Kaneki found acceptance, but at a terrible cost. And honestly, that's why I still think his transformation is one of the darkest and most unforgettable in anime. And that's exactly why I love these three transformations. None of them locked in the same way. Zenitsu proved that courage isn't about being fearless. Jinho proved that true strength starts from one decision. And Kaneki, well, Kaneki showed us that sometimes becoming stronger means sacrificing a piece of yourself. But I know this list isn't finished, because there are still two characters whose stories deserves their own spotlight. So tell me, which one of these three had the greatest lock-in moment? And who do you think absolutely has to be in part 2? If you love anime discussions that feels like you're arguing with your friends at 2 a.m., hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one.